Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel. Yes, back at home at the Shmuseum and the start immediately of another adventure. You might notice the Zenvo is missing. We're going to get to that in just a second. Today, we're departing with the Shelby GT500, also joined with the Lotus Emira for a certain destination in Germany where each of the Shmeemobiles needs to drive on a fairly famous bit of tarmac. So that is the plan ahead. Now you might notice things are a little bit different over at this end. We're going to be getting to all of that. It's now blue, and in fact over the next 2 months there's going to be so much work here that I might even bring the Building the Dream Garage series to the Shmee 150 channel. We shall see. I've driven in with the Lasso. We've got our luggage ready and raring to go because, well, today is the start of this, a bit of a race, if you will, against the Zenvo, where Turbo Transport is currently taking it towards Esser, ready for some fun ahead. It's Easter weekend. Of course, we're going to the Nurburgring. Today marks the beginning of our road trip adventure. When it comes to the Shmeemobiles, as many of you guys know, they pretty much all, as a rite of passage, head to the Nürburgring. Of course, a couple haven't yet. The Clio V6, which is currently under a few covers because they've all been undercover while work is going on here, that hasn't been, will do at some point. But we figured we would take the Emira to go and do a few laps this weekend, to take the GT500, and especially given everything that this car has done out in the US, having been across country multiple times, having in fact done a few track days as well, I cannot wait to get that beast around the ring. In fact, I don't think all that many GT500s have even been there. I'm sure at least one has, but we should probably rewind first. Back to the night before and the preparations. We've got a lot to do and not all that much time. You will see that the GT500 and the Emira are still on the lifts. I need to get all the docks and make sure everything is set, but also to get this loaded up. So Turbo Transport has just arrived. We're going to be trailering the Zenvo over to Germany. I'll explain more behind that in a moment, but exactly as we did when Tony from Turbo Transport, Brad and I went in the Ram over to the Zenvo factory to go and bring it back here to the Shmuseum at the start of the year, we're going to be loading it into the trailer to take it to Germany for the adventure ahead. So I know some of you are screaming, why not drive it? Well, I want to enjoy all of the miles I do with this. I want to make sure that I only drive miles when it's really justified, and the miles that are ahead with this are going to be mega, and I'm looking forward to those an awful lot, but it does mean for the time being, getting it unplugged from the CTEC, I've got the key just here, getting it started, shuffling it to the middle so that we can reverse in the trailer, and then we can stick this inside, and then it can set off in advance because it takes a little bit longer, slower driving speeds, plus all of the things that you need to get through in terms of the Eurotunnel to be able to head over to the continent. So we should have a little bit of a race on our hands as to who's going to arrive at the other end. So let's get cracking on with this. This is where our trusty magic CTEC plug is very, very handy right there. Everything else is pretty much good to go to get this started up. I do like the key. It's just the theatre that comes with a car like this. Now, I've driven this car about 1,000 kilometers or so far. Obviously, only had it out to take into central London fairly briefly here in the UK, but I went for a left-hand drive car, knowing that the vast majority of things that I would do with this machine are going to be in left-hand drive countries. And for that purpose, it fits obviously perfectly, and today is the prime example of that. So let me step in here. We will very carefully get this, put on the brake, pop the key in, maybe go the other way around. There we go. And then hit the magic button and get it started up. Oh yeah, right, let's move it. The trailer is arriving, and the other reason for doing this, by the way, is that the weather is foul. It is wet, gloomy, and miserable outside. Exactly what you don't want when you're doing a road trip with a Zenvo. So we are going to be transporting it with Tony safely in the back of this trailer where it has been on occasions before, ready for this voyage. Mr. Turbo.
How are you? You okay?
Welcome back. The sound of power. Brad is doing the honors, loading up the Zenvo, which is quite fun. I'm looking forward to getting it unloaded at the other end, out onto some nice roads in Germany. So we'll get this strapped down, closed up, say farewell to it for now. Another important thing, we need a front plate on here, and because of the curvature of this front bumper, which is of course not made for a UK plate, a bit of heat on the plate and a small bend, which Tom has thankfully prepared with some tape on the back that I can get rid of, and us having planned out exactly where to put this means that this can be legal with a plate on the front. not a fan of driving without if I don't need to. So that will stick on there, and it looks pretty nice and tidy to me. Stick it down, ready to go. Tape off. Oh, missed that bit. Ready to rock and roll. Well, the Zenvo is loaded. Farewell to that for now. Thank you very much, Tony. We'll see you in Germany.
See you there.
There's so much going on here at the moment. It's actually quite incredible. In probably only about 2 months, we're going to have some big changes here with the build, the office space, the flooring, the storage, the workshop area. Mark my words, big transformations. But we need to get started for this journey. That means I need to firstly just unplug the cars that we have here to make sure they are ready to be fired up. This thing always sounds fairly phenomenal. Catches hopefully released, fingers crossed. This is always a bit of a process on the GT500 because you've got that, you've got the hood pins. Then when you've got those released, you've also got a catch under here. If I can find that somewhere. No, not yet. Always a bit of a challenge. There we go. Oh, heavy hood, heavy bonnet, and a beast of an engine. This is going to be loud on the Nordschleife. Loud, or probably too loud, but we'll get to that. Anyway, unplug this for the moment. Carefully pull this out of the way. Do you know what else we can do? If I can figure out which pocket I've got the key in. Hopefully, we can start this up. You've got to slam it. Always feels like too much. Lock, double press. Oh yeah, right. We can pull that forwards, then we can get the Emira off, and then we're going to be time to go. We switch then from GT500 to Emira. I just unplugged this one, but this should be nice and easy to get off the Benpack Auto stackers and pull it on out. This car is not actually yet even fully run in. It's going to complete the running in process today on the way to the ring, which is quite fun. I like it when it adds up and kind of works out like that. Squeeze on in. All right. I should point out at this stage that both of these two cars are on Sport Cup 2s, and it's currently a little bit greasy. Not too much of a problem. Hopefully, the weather at the other end is going to be magnificent and perfect for the purpose. But obviously, this is the first time that I've actually taken this car somewhere here in the UK since I drove it home from my car import after having done the whole import process. This is literally the first journey that I have done with it, and we're on a road trip immediately. Obviously conscious that we have the carbon fiber wheels. That is something that we need to be a bit concerned about potentially, just to make sure that we're looking after it, no massive potholes or anything like that along the way. But it's pretty fun to be in it, having driven this car literally from Miami to LA, having done New York via Toronto down to Miami for Gumball, and now to be driving it on a little European adventure as well. Although I'm not quite sure what's going on with traffic today because we're going way under the speed limit and the left lane is totally empty. Welcome to lane discipline in the United Kingdom. I feel like I'm driving a left-hand drive car and I should just go 70 miles an hour down the left. It is what it is. Well, that didn't take long in the slightest. Always to be expected that a bit of rain was going to fall today. Into a tunnel we go. So manual, start to drop some gears, window down slightly. Let me do that. Here we go. Oh, those snaps. I'm not even in the noisiest mode. There we go, my mode. This thing is mad. I forgot how loud it is. There's going to be a whole lot of that to come. This journey has gone super smoothly, which, considering it's the Easter weekend, wasn't really what I expected. Something that's quite funny though is that the last time I came back from the US on the GT Black Series tour, arrived in England and immediately departed on a Euro trip with the SF90 with a roof box on it down to Switzerland and Italy. This time around, we've hopped in this car to basically do the same. We're actually now arriving at the Channel Tunnel exit. This is literally our exit. It has not taken us very long to get this far compared to normal, honestly. Very, very smooth. But there is a mistake that I've made with this car up to this point. A bit of a mistake. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that a little bit later on, and you will see what I'm talking about. But we are literally here, ahead of time. We've got a bit of time still to get ourselves checked in, hopefully to run inside quickly, and then get the crossing underway over towards France. There has been an absolute monster of a traffic jam for going through passport control, but we are now heading through towards the trains, and Of course, as always, I have booked the large or tall vehicles, so the over 185, because it means the slightly wider carriages. And given we've got carbon fibre wheels, you can kind of see why I've gone that way, because damaging one of these would not be fun, even though it will be quite funny with the little Lotus in the wide carriage, because it's not exactly a wide car or a big car or really needs it. But we're sticking together so that we can get off the other side, get some food and carry onwards, because we're going to be going through a bit of France, a bit of Belgium, maybe even a touch of the Netherlands before we go into Germany, to Aachen, to Esser, where the Zenvo should be awaiting us. I think we are going to be the front car onto this carriage. We are indeed, you can see all the way through it. That's quite fun. We will be the first off of this train, slightly later than we wanted, owing to what's been probably 45 minutes or so of queuing. But anyway, onwards, next stop, France. One of the fun advantages of being the front car is that we can see all of this happening. So you can see the roof sliding forwards, then those I don't know what to call them, those ramps will all open up in just a second. I've only had this once before. I think this is only the second time I've ever been the front car, but it's moving around, stuff's happening, and then I assume these are all going to open. And that's how we manage to drive out and have a noisy startup in the process when the time comes and they allow us to do that. There's all sorts of beeping and noises and stuff. There we go. One seems to be stuck. Oh dear. Everything else has done what it should. Let's hope that's not going to be a problem. Let's get this into... Can you do noisy mode in here before you start it? I think you can. We've popped it all in kilometers, and in very typical Ford style, to put this in kilometers is the settings button on the steering wheel, and then when you press that, speedometer in kilometers. Done. It's that easy. It's the first time this car's ever been in kilometers, because it's spent its whole life in the US and then in the UK so far. But we still have a chock on the wheel, so we're not going anywhere yet. Right, we have the go-ahead. Sounds so good. Okay, off we go. Out into France, first stop to the petrol station, because of course, this is a car with atrocious fuel economy. We are under half a tank, having only driven 100 miles. GT500 life, getting used to it. There we have it, welcome to France. And not only that, we've got the Emira in the mirror as well. Also here for the first time. It's only about half an hour, 40 minutes in France, and we're now arriving at Belgium. And of course, it's raining. I mean, it literally wouldn't make any sense if it wasn't, right? So our third country of the day, and this is where obviously this car makes sense. It's left-hand drive, it's very practical, we've got all the stuff in the boot, so we don't have things literally piled up on top of us. We've got cruise control, we're basically just enjoying the road, because that's what this is for, right? It's kind of a super hardcore track weapon version of a GT car, literally the Mustang GT, 5-litre V8, although obviously this is the supercharged 5.2, but very much just, yeah, along for the ride. We've heard that the transporter, Tony, is decently ahead of us, so that should probably be unloaded when we get there in some very, very, very nice company. So that remains to be seen in a few hours' time, but it's only about 3 hours from here, so not too bad, really. Well, this just got very grim very quickly. Overcast, currently raining, and all a bit miserable. In fact, there is a flash of yellow up that away from the Emira in a sea of very bland colours, really. In fact, we stopped right here, over there, on the previous to last road trip when we trailered the Zenvo back home, and it was also raining. I remember filming a clip over underneath the covers over that away. But a day like today, and this answers the question of why I'm not driving the Zenvo, kind of this. It's wet, there's traffic, we're sitting at the same speed on the motorway, it's long, it's not particularly exciting, and this is when stuff goes wrong. So in a car like this, it wouldn't be great. For sure it wouldn't be great, especially as it's not even available in the UK, so I don't know what we would do with parts if they were to be needed, but certainly in something like the Zenvo, it goes in the trailer. For today, it would be utterly pointless. It will come out for something that's fun, either a drive or a convoy, or to go and do some fun stuff with it, but not for just going A to B in fairly miserable weather. Yeah, let's continue. We are now right here at the border to Germany. That means Autobahn. Although, I'm not gonna lie, when it's like this on the roads, and you're in a Mustang, emphasis on that fact, you don't just put your foot down and boot it. We do now enter, literally this is now Germany, this is now Autobahn, and this is de-restricted. I can drop some gears, and we can have a little bit of sound, but I'm not going, there we go, Bundesrepublik Deutschland, I'm not going full throttle because I don't want to end up in a hedge or a tree. It's a bit rutted and choppy here. But I tell you what, doesn't this thing sound glorious? It's 170 or so kilometers an hour. I have taken it to the top speed before, but it would be fun to do a proper run at some point if conditions allow us over the coming days. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think that's all we're getting in these conditions. You can barely see the car that's in front of me. Yeah, this is not ideal, and actually we've only got a tiny amount of fuel left, as you can see. The tank is basically out, and we've had a good innings. We're about 200 miles into this tank, but we're actually going to be joining a convoy drive tomorrow, and that means we want to start with a full tank. So before we arrive, I need to go and get this filled up, and probably go and fill up the Zenvo as well, which is now unloaded, and we will see it shortly, although I don't really want to take it out if it's like this. Bit of a catch-22. Don't entirely know what I'm going for right now, but I will make that decision hopefully before we get there, and then just see what happens from that. I did say that I don't like driving the Zenvo when there's just no point, and this is the perfect example. We've had traffic today everywhere apart from England. We've had traffic on each of our respective countries that we've gone through, and it's just gloomy. I'm hoping we're gonna have some better days in the days that follow, but hopefully nobody's mad that I'm not just driving the Zenvo pointlessly, because you can't do thousands upon thousands of miles in a car like that. It detracts from the experience of the car a bit itself. You want to take it out when it's really special and almost build up those experiences, because they mean that you get so much more of like an emotional link with the car, those memories that you get from each time that you've taken it out. Now, I should say at this point that I don't want anybody to get their hopes up too high. I'm not going to drive the Zenvo on the Nurburgring. It's too expensive and there's too much at risk. And while it would be amazing fun for sure, I can't personally, that risk balance is completely out. It's like, you got to remember, it's double if not more the Senna or the Ford GT. It's a whole lot in one asset, and this is the Nürburgring. It's famous for being the most grueling racetrack in the world, but thankfully we have a GT500 and we have an Emira, which are two very different cars. We've got a manual mid-engined supercharged V6, and we've got a dual-clutched front-engined supercharged V8. So two very, very, very different rear-driven sports cars to go and have some fun with. That's the idea over the coming days. The Zenvo is going to be part of some convoys and some other stuff. Hopefully I can get it out, go put the pedal down a little bit on the autobahn maybe, if it's dry and clear and not like this. But otherwise speaking, yeah, I'm sure you can understand that one a little bit. It's not a decision I could sensibly talk myself into. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, believe me. We've made it, here we are, and there is Turbo Transport with the trailer right outside Esser Automotive, Koenigsegg, Rimac and a few others here, and today with a Zenvo inside, I believe. So we'll probably pull in, get this parked up for the moment, go have a little nosy inside and see exactly where things are going to take us from here. I presume my car's unloaded. Maybe it's still in the trailer. Nah, it must be inside. We'll go find out. And then the Emira will catch us in a moment as well. They had a quick pause on the route while we continued onwards. How about this then? Welcome back to Esser Automotive. Now, I've joined a few runs before, but the team, along with Tony, have been unloading the Zenvo, which is now parked center stage. In fact, my Senna was there a few years back. I've also joined runs that we've done from here with the SF90. One year, the Ringwing Ting, we had the AMG GTR, the 911 GT3, the 675 LT Spider, and the GT8 all here together. Also a few others over the years. We have my friend Mike's Gembala Mirage GT, one of only 25 just here, Shin Mike Yin. We've got a Gintani SVJ. That thing is stupid loud. Maybe we'll be hearing some more of that. Of course, the Zenvo is currently sat right here, ready for the drive ahead, having avoided today's complete washout mess. Being Koenigsegg Germany, we of course have a couple of eggs over this way, along with 599 GTO, SF90s, whole load of other very nice cars. In fact, behind me here, that is the Tramontana R, which is pretty cool. We've got a P1. We're going to come through here in a second, actually. No, come this way right now, because alongside the P1, we have the full liquid carbon Ford GT, one of only 30, which is really, really nice. Back this way, we have Mike's Apollo IE lurking under the cover. Have to save that one for another day. Watch this space. We also have a Bugatti Veyron. We have a P1, I'm sure. There was another, yep, right there, another P1 lurking somewhere. I was just going to say, there's definitely another one tucked in somewhere. A few other McLarens, 992 Speedster, 918, GT3s, some very, very cool cars currently here at Esser, ready, well, of course not necessarily to join, but with plenty of cars coming to join us very shortly. And to run this, we've just got to hope that the weather is slightly more on side tomorrow. And at the moment, the forecast is a little bit sketchy, which is not what anybody wants with this kind of thing. Tell you what though, it's cool to have it back here in Germany. It's technically been through Germany a couple of times now, but of course this time to actually drive it on the ground and to go and take part in a bit of an exciting run with it, which is all coming up very soon. When we went inside, it was pouring with rain outside, but thankfully that has now stopped. The trailer is about to be moved out of the way, just for the time being. Tony is off with that, but I realize I do actually still need to explain what I'm talking about when I say, oh, the rain is coming again. When I say there's a mistake that I've made with this car, and the mistake that I have actually made with this car is that I haven't used it for 6 months. I imported it to the UK in September last year. Well, actually, I shipped it out of the US in June last year. We had it fully homologated, registered, and everything set up in September. And somehow we've got from September to April without having done anything with it. That's more than half a year, which is a bit of a crying shame, although I tell you what, I did bring it into the UK and then go and spend most of the last 6 months in the United States, obviously kind of doing the opposite with the GT Black Series going that way and this coming this way. And then of course, not really being around. And when I was around, the weather was kind of like this. And I tell you what, this car is sketchy in this kind of conditions. Today, it has been slipping without even trying to make it slip. So we need to be a bit cautious, especially out on the ring. So I think it's literally that, because it's such a cool car to use for these purposes. It's such a cool car to just go and drive and do long legs with. It's pretty comfortable. It's fairly soft, even for an extreme track car. It's got a whole load of space, more than enough for all of the luggage we need in the back. It's got Android Auto, it's got a nice sound system, it's got all the electronic stuff that you want, maybe some adaptive cruise control or something, which it's lacking. It's now getting really wet, so I think on that one, we're going to wrap this up. It's been quite the successful journey today, with these two cars being driven, with the Zenvo being transported, and there are going to be some very fun days ahead out at the Nurburgring. Coming up next, though, will be the Zenvo Hypercar Convoy. Let's do it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you to everyone who's helped with today. Tony, Marcus, and the team here at Esser Automotive. Oh, it's backing off again. And, well, to you guys, of course, for watching as well. That's it for now, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers!